My name is Alice Travis. I'm the Democratic Chair of the National Women's Political Caucus, and I have a statement I'd like to share with you about this incredible and exciting opportunity that the Democratic Party has placed before all of us. By choosing Geraldine Ferraro, Walter Mondale has turned his most important political decision into his best political decision. Geraldine will bring a new breath and fresh perspective into this race. The Democratic ticket will now stand in stark contrast to the Republican ticket, and Geraldine will allow the Democrats to attack Reagan and keep the campaign focused on the very issues on which he is most vulnerable: fairness, equity, war and peace, and economic common sense. Geraldine gives the voters a clear, unequivocal choice. Millions of Americans who up until this point were only taking a casual and passive interest in this election now feel that they have a stake in what happens this November. The message is clear. The Democratic Party is now more than the boys in the back room, above politics as usual. Because Geraldine has broken into this nation's top political ranks, others who have felt left out have been invited in. I believe that Geraldine Ferraro will become a cause, and a cause that many Americans, women and men of all ages, colors, and political views, will take on as their own. This historic announcement is a rallying cry to the 33 million unregistered women of America. We will knock on doors, organize in shopping malls, factories, offices, and child care centers, urging women to register and to vote. The magic of stepping into a voting booth and, for the first time in history, pulling a lever for a woman vice president of the United States is awesome, is important, and is the best chance for a Democratic takeover of the White House. The Mondale Ferraro ticket is our ticket for victory in November. I would like to now call on some of the many women all over this country who are excited about this unbelievable opportunity. And first, it gives me great honor to introduce someone who needs no introduction, of course, the Congresswoman from San Francisco, Sala Burton.
Welcome to San Francisco, the city that I represent. Isn't it beautiful? Nicer than Dallas and not so hot, I must say. I feel sorry for the press who has to go there sometime in August, I guess. I would like to say that I'm really thrilled that we've made this breakthrough in this city, where the first time we're going to have a woman on the ticket, and the convention takes place in this city. That's a special touch as far as I'm concerned. There is no question we're going to win, not only because we put Jerry Ferraro on the ticket, because the combination of Mondale and Ferraro will do something to electrify this nation, and we are going to win. There are so many others who want to speak that I am going to let them come, and I am not going to say any more than Mondale, Ferraro, the ticket is going to win this election. Thank you.
Lynn Cutler, one of the vice chairs of the Democratic National Committee, the head of the Women's Division, the Women's Council, the woman who has helped coordinate so much of our activities and will be at this convention, would like to share a few of her thoughts with you now.
Thank you very much, Alice. Congratulations to all of our sisters, and congratulations especially to the wonderful women of this city and of this area for having brought us to this place where we can go forward now and celebrate in every way in a city that is by itself a celebration. I would be terribly remiss if I did not remind everybody that in fact on Monday at the San Francisco Opera House we will be celebrating the women of America. It is a fundraiser for our Eleanor Roosevelt Fund that we've had planned for many, many months, and lo and behold, it takes on a very special and spectacular meaning for us. So we hope that all of the people coming to the convention and all of the people in the Bay Area will join us. I am speaking this morning on behalf of myself and my colleague, Vice Chair Polly Baca, who had to be at another press conference on issues and matters of interest to the Hispanic community, but she was with us in the earlier press conference. I know that she joins with me in saying how pleased we are as officers of the Democratic National Committee that this has happened, how delighted we are as we have traveled the country and met with women and men all over the country to see this great opportunity suddenly become a reality. Let me, if I may, quickly read a statement from Congresswoman Barbara Boxer, who was unable to be here, and she has said, "The selection of Geraldine Ferraro as the vice presidential candidate is a historic day for America and a winning move for Fritz Mondale. Geraldine Ferraro is the personification of the American dream. This exciting decision by Fritz Mondale proves that he will be a president willing to make the bold yet wise move that America so desperately needs in order to be a world leader." And the Congresswoman goes on to pledge her full, enthusiastic support for the coming campaign, and that is certainly the position of all of us. Thank you very, very much.
Carmen Perez, who is the Vice Chair of California, a woman who is a leader in the women's movement and in the Hispanic community as well, and has to rush to the next press conference, is our next speaker.
Rushing Carmen. Thank you. While I was listening to everyone, I thought, what a wonderful day. My name is Carmen Perez, and I come from a family of 10, and all the women in my family always knew that someday we would see a women's vice president and, in fact, a women president. We're going to work towards that. I was a little ticked off maybe this morning. I heard one of our reporters in the room asking, I believe it was Sally Burton, but the Hispanics won't vote for a woman. That is untrue. We're going to go out there and we're going to it. One of the things I think that all of us are excited about, obviously, this is a historical moment for all of us, but what we wanted, and I think what Fritz has done, is not only picked a woman, but picked a partner that can help him to reach our main objective. And that, of course, for Hispanics as well as for all Americans, should be the defeat of Ronald Reagan. I'm excited. Thank you.
Nancy Pelosi, who is the chair of the Democratic National Committee Host Committee, the Compliance Review Commission, and too many other things, is just wonderful and wants to share some of her thoughts with you too.
Thank you, Alice. I'll be very brief. I would just like to say that we are absolutely delighted that there is a woman candidate for vice president. We're very proud of the presentation that our own Mayor Dianne Feinstein made, and she made us again proud to be San Franciscans and proud of her. We think that the consideration of Mayor Feinstein increased the climate of acceptability of a woman for vice president. I would also like to point out that the 3 women who were considered for vice president, Governor Collins, Geraldine Ferraro, and Mayor Feinstein, were women who were put into the national spotlight, or whose visibility in the national spotlight was increased by our chairman, Charles T. Manat, in their roles as chair of the platform committee for Geraldine, as mayor of the host city for the convention as far as Diane is concerned, and as chairs of the convention as far as Governor Collins is concerned. So I think that all of this is also a tribute to the leadership of our chairman, Charles Manat, and his recognition of women in the leadership of the Democratic Party. Thank you very much.
Willie B. Kennedy, one of the many women supervisors here in San Francisco, is our next speaker.
Thank you very much. I'm simply ecstatic this morning to have gone to bed last night with perhaps it was going to be a woman, and to awaken this morning to find out, in fact, indeed, it is a woman. And I would certainly love to commend Mondale for his foresight. I think it is marvelous. I think it is great. And the message I would like to give to all of the women throughout the nation is to say, hey, it's left to us now. We must do it. We got to win in 1984. Thank you.
To say I love San Francisco and introduce another woman supervisor here in this city and county, Louise Rennie, who also served with Congresswoman Geraldine Ferraro on the platform committee. Louise?
Thank you. We're all joined here together, national, state, local officials, those of us who in one way or another have been involved in the women's movement and the civil rights movement for years, to say this is indeed a historic day, and we couldn't be happier. I know I couldn't be more pleased and proud to have my daughters here to see progress, history in the making. More than that, it isn't just that we now have a woman on the ticket. We have an eminently well-qualified, wonderful woman on the ticket. It was my privilege over the last several months to serve on the platform committee and travel throughout the United States and the regional hearings that the platform committee had. As Geraldine Ferraro chaired that committee, it became very obvious that here was an outstanding, unusual, exceptionally well-qualified person, a good vice president. I look forward to working hard for the Mondale Ferraro ticket. That's why we're all here today.
One of our unions who represent probably more women than practically any other union in this nation, NEA, has sent to us Deborah DeLee, who is the manager of their political action committee, and wants to share with you some of the feelings of NEA over this very historic day.
Mary Hatwood Futrell, the president of the 1.7 million member National Education Association, is in Monterey at a meeting this morning and unable to be here. But she did make a statement this morning describing former Vice President Walter Mondale's selection of Congresswoman Geraldine Ferraro for Vice President as an excellent and exciting choice. This courageous and bold stroke by Walter Mondale gives voters for the first time in history the opportunity to pick a national ticket that truly represents all Americans. Ms. Futrell, who is a Mondale delegate from Virginia, had previously consulted with Mondale on the selection of a vice presidential candidate. She said that she asked the former vice president to give serious consideration to a woman or a minority for the spot on the second spot on the Democratic ticket, and is thrilled with his decision.
There has been a coalition of women's groups meeting in Washington for the last several months, strategizing and planning and dreaming about this day. We have often met in different rooms, in different places, sharing all of our different perspectives on what we should do and how we can best do it. Amongst those who have been so thoughtful and helpful during these meetings has been Alice Cohen, the political director of the National Association of Social Workers. Alice?
It really is an incredible day to be standing up here at the morning of the announcement that Geraldine Ferraro is going to be the next Vice President of the United States, along with Walter Mondale as our president. Because what it does is it really speaks out to this country to bring in the women, the minorities, the people who have been left out, particularly in the last 3 years of the Reagan administration, and shows us so clearly and strongly that the Democratic ticket and the next Democratic administration is going to make a great difference. And the women of this nation are going to make a difference in the voting ballot boxes in November to put us over the top.
We will be taking questions, if you would like, after we have finished. Our last speaker, saving perhaps one of the strongest groups in the women's movement for last, because they have worked so hard for both Walter Mondale and for a woman on the ticket. I'm very pleased to introduce all of you to Sandra Farha, the California director of the National Organization of Women.
Thank you. There is such excitement across the country today, and there is such enthusiasm across the country today. Walter Mondale has taken the bold, progressive step of choosing for his running partner, Geraldine Ferraro. And I think that the message is very clear and very direct to the women and men across this country, that Walter Mondale does indeed believe in equality of rights for women and for minorities and for the elderly and for the poor. And with Geraldine Ferraro on the ticket, it's going to be a constant reminder to the people of this country the difference between Mondale, Ferraro, and Reagan and Bush. Mondale and Ferraro are committed to breaking down barriers. Reagan and Bush are committed to seeing that barriers increase. We could not be more pleased and excited about winning in November, defeating Ronald Reagan, and we now have the strongest ticket to do it. And it's going to be wonderful working. And won't it be wonderful for the Democratic women across the country that are running for office for the first time in history to come in on the coattails of a woman? Thank you.
What can we say? We are so happy. We do invite you to ask us questions if you have any and to celebrate with us this whole week. It's so special, and we're going to win. Thank you.
Do you feel that that Mr. Mondale would have made this choice without any of the heat that I'm sure he did feel from now? Do you feel somewhat responsible for the decision in any way?
I think Walter Mondale, we've known, and one of the reasons he was the candidate that we did endorse in that unprecedented PAC endorsement, because we know that he is committed to equality for women and minorities and for the poor and the elderly of this country. I believe what happened was that indeed it was an idea whose time has come, and that the ground, I think we had a lot to do with it, as did the caucus, as did the coalition, but the groundswell of support. See, I think Mr. Mondale said this many weeks ago, and many of us believed it. The people of this country were ready for a woman on the ticket. It was the process that needed to be convinced that it was time. So we're very pleased.
For the print press, can we get the spelling on your names, please?
Right. Sandra Farhar, Sandra Farha, the California Coordinator of the National Organization for Women. Louise, Louise, Rennie, Renne, Supervisor of the City and County of San Francisco. Alice Cohen, Alice spelled A-L-I-C-E, Cohen, C-O-H-A-N, Political Director, the National Association of Social Workers. Deborah DeLee, D-E-B-R-A, D-E, new word, Lee, L-E-E, Manager of the Political Action Committee, NEA. Do you need Nancy Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi, Chair of the Democratic National Committee Host Committee. Lynn Cutler, LynnCutler, Vice Chair of the Democratic National Committee. Carmen Perez, Carmen, Perez, Perez, Vice Chair of the California Democratic Party. Willie B. Kennedy, Willie Kennedy, Kennedy, Supervisor, City and County of San Francisco. I think that was all of us. I'm Alice Travis, also spelled A-L-I-C-E, Travis, and I'm the National Democratic Chair of NWPC. Yes?
Ferraro supported tuition tax credit and voted for anti-busing amendment. How does this sit with NEA and some of the other groups?
We don't have a record at this moment on her position on tuition tax credits. It did not come up in the last session, so we don't have a record on her vote on that issue.
Are you aware of her support for it?
Yes, we're very strongly opposed to tuition tax credits and are on record as such.
Any thoughts on the question that was asked earlier when Mr. Mondale was here, saying that some polls showing that although increased turnout, many women coming out and others, because a woman is on the ticket, might be a wash because others might stay away or change their vote perhaps Republican because of it?
Well, the polls this year have been pretty odd and often wrong, but some polls show us winning and some polls show us maybe breaking even with a woman on the ticket, and maybe a few some people look at and say are perhaps discouraging. We don't think so. We know, because we are active women who have traveled all around this nation all year long, how strongly the women and the men feel about a woman on the ticket. The gender gap is in every single region, in every single ethnic group, in every single age group, in every single educational group, in every single economic group. The issues that Geraldine Ferraro epitomizes as the vice president on this ticket, war and peace, the economy, fairness, human issues, caring issues are so strong and so vital that we feel that she will be such an asset in driving those issues home and pointing out, in fact, that Ronald Reagan is not a nice guy and his programs are disastrous for the men and women of this country, that we will win in November, and probably because Geraldine Ferraro is on the ticket. We feel great about it. Well, we have seen all across this nation, in fact, that women candidates usually lead the ticket. In Texas, for example, Ann Richards, running for statewide office, treasurer, led the ticket, got more votes than the governor or anyone else in a statewide race. Here in California, March Fong Yu usually leads the ticket. We are finding women all over the country leading the ticket. We think that this will be a great asset to the women on the ticket and to the men on the ticket, and we're going to be able to hopefully take back the Senate, win a lot more congressional races, and be very successful in the local races as well. This will increase turnout. Increasing turnout is good for Democrats. Yeah.
Your press release refers to an organizational pitch you're going to make. Do you have any idea, can you quantify that for us, how many voters you think you can...
Well, there are 33 million unregistered women in this country right now, a phenomenal number. And when we realize by how few Ronald Reagan was elected, we feel that reaching out to another 2 or 3 million women will enable us to have a victory. Already now, between 6 and 8 million more women are registered and voting than men. With this added incentive, with the excitement of voting for a woman for one of the top spots for the first time in history, we believe that we're going to be able to organize in the traditional and grassroots way that the women's movement has always organized into those shopping centers, child care centers, the factories, the offices, the hospitals where women work and where women are often, which women use, will enable us to register women, and that they will predominantly vote Democratic and for the ticket, which includes a woman for the first time in history. We thank you very much. We'll see you all week.
You know, Grandma ain't crazy. She's just broken-hearted.